The revolt by writers who have taken on the right wing, as some are suggesting, refuses to subside. 3 more writers today returned the coveted Sahitya Akademi awards to oppose what they call rising intolerance in India. This takes the number of writers who've returned awards to 18. Meanwhile, eminent author Salman Rushdie, who himself has been the victim of a right-wing ire of another kind, threw his weight behind the Academy revolt. President of Sahitya Akademi, Vishwanath Prasad Tiwari, has expressed his displeasure at the authors returning their awards in protest. I want to go to someone though who has been part of the Academy, who is also now resigned in protest. Shashi Deshpande, eminent writer, joining me from Bangalore. I appreciate your joining me, ma'am. The Academy chairperson has effectively suggested that he doesn't understand why all of you are resigning either from the Academy or returning your awards. What would you like to tell those who are saying, why are writers only resigning now? Is there a selective outrage, is what some critics are saying?
That's a strange phrase that has come into being. There's no question of selective outrage. And I think the question should rather have been that why have you not protested until now? And that's the question I ask myself, why have writers remained quiet so far? So I think the question is not that we have decided to come together, it is all individual. I mean, at least I was completely alone in my decision to resign. Nobody was involved in it. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't ask anybody. It just seemed the time had come. It's like a marriage. You know, it's a bad marriage, but somehow you keep going. And then suddenly one day you decide you cannot go on anymore and you walk out. So it was like that for me, that I found out that I was unable to accept the fact that a writer belonging to the Academy had been murdered, and the Academy had nothing to say in the matter.
You know, the reason I'm asking this is because there has been violence in the past also. I mean, there have been acts of, terrible communal violence has taken place. There have been acts of violence against writers. We've seen different individuals being targeted at different stages. Salman Rushdie's book was not allowed in this country. Other books have been burned. The question that people will ask is this directed against the Modi government, or is it directed against what you see is a stifling of the freedom of expression and the Sahitya Akademi's failure to speak out?
I think there are two things in this. One is, of course, the danger to the freedom of speech, and that the institution which should protect that has not spoken up. That for me was the immediate cause. But there is also a lot of concern about what is happening in the country today, and the kind of intolerance that we are seeing, the kind of violence that we are seeing. And Rajdeep, I'm a little amazed that people are talking about using the word intellectual in a derogatory manner. I've been hearing this constantly ever since this debate started. And it is as if you think intelligently, if you are a rational thinker, there's something wrong with you. You're trying to put yourself above the rest. Whereas I think we should be happy that, people are there who can think, and I'm not including myself, but there are people who can think and who are willing to give a kind of a leadership. Dissent is always there. You don't have to agree with anybody's views. But let us have a debate, for God's sake. And that is not there at all in this country. The climate is
what is the difference though?
Of shouting and screaming.
What is the difference though between now and the past?
Yeah.
What has changed in you believe in the last few months as compared with the past? What is the big difference? Because that's where the critical question is arising. Should writers have spoken out earlier? Have they now effectively taken a political stand against the government of the day? That's where the complexity of the issue comes in.
There's something which is happening, which is kind of very difficult to sort of pinpoint. When the emergency happened, there was a very definite cause, and one could sort of fight against it. What is happening here today is a kind of a stealthy, furtive assault on people's freedom to think, freedom to live the way they want to, freedom to eat what they want, freedom to dress the way they want. And it all seems to be coming from different agencies. It's not that the government is doing this. So I think it has been very difficult to sort of stand up and say that I protest against this.
But why didn't more writers resign during the emergency? Why didn't more writers protest against Mrs. Gandhi?
I wasn't there. My father was very much in the, in the midst of it. I know that. But I do not know why more writers did not resign. And it's not a question I can answer, because I was, struggling with my young family at that point, and I was very concerned, but there was nothing more I could do.
No, I agree. In fact, this question is sometimes asked to me, why weren't you reporting 1984? And I keep saying, look, I was 18 years old in 1984 or 19, and that question. But the bigger question, what do you expect the Sahitya Akademi to do now?
Yeah.
What is the message you'd like to give to the Sahitya Akademi to restore the credibility of the organization?
I think they need to rethink the entire role that they have. It's become such a monolith. It's become a kind of, sort of such a routine thing that these are the things they do. This is what they spend money on. Wherever any artist or writer is concerned, I think what one needs is a little free atmosphere. There should be more discussions, more debates. I'm amazed that in this country we do not debate anything. And if you talk about discussing, then you're immediately told that you're an intellectual or a pseudo-intellectual. And I'd like to remind these people who continue to talk of India's glorious past about how Shankaracharya went all over the country debating. That was how he brought Hinduism back into the center. And I think that is the most civilized way of doing things. We don't have that anymore. And writers, more than anyone else, should do this thing, but writers have not done it for many reasons. I must accept that. We have lost our role. Absolutely lost our role.
Well, and you're effectively saying better late than never. So that's the point that you're trying to make. Better late than never.
I think so.
Right.
Yeah.
I appreciate your joining.
There have been writers who have...
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, there have been writers who have been active. There have been writers who have, been activists. But I think a lot of us writers feel that our form of activism is writing. I've written about all these issues. I've spoken about it in my speeches here and there. But there's been no point when I could come out and say these things, because there is no platform. I would like to make that point. There is no platform for writers like me or for many writers. The platform goes to politicians, it goes to celebrities, it goes to people who are sort of, names. So there is no way I can go and make my view known. So don't ask me, why didn't you protest? Even if I protested, nobody would have heard me.
Well, I think your protest, in a sense, as you're saying, is an attempt by writers to recapture the space that they believe they've ceded, in a sense, to the political class of this country. I appreciate your joining us, Shashi Deshpande.
Well,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
And may more writers come out and tell us exactly where they stand, either way, whether they believe that protesting by giving up their Sahitya Akademi awards, does it really make a difference? That's, again, for you, the viewers, to decide.